Well, if West Brom want to ask why they're not top of the table, it's because they keep bringing on Wallace. How many times are we going to rinse and repeat the same old formula? Dean, Ben and Aaron are going to talk about it and just how good Karlon Grant was. This is the review of Oxford 1, West Brom 1. We'll roll the titles and we'll see you at the other side. Hit that subscribe button while you're at it. Welcome back to Baggies Walk. This is a 20-minute weekly review of everything connected with West Brom. Dean, you went to the Kassam. How was your trip?
Yeah, so it was okay, except for the 92nd minute. It was all going okay, but up until then, although we should have finished them off. It should have been dead and buried. You know, we were the better team without a doubt, but silly mistakes and failing to shoot when there's easy chances on.
We've got this pattern, though, as we said at the start, haven't we, of making these substitutions, similar substitutions, Aaron, bringing on Wallace and going defensively, hanging on for the win, and then it all going a little bit wrong. Are you tired of it as Twitterers?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's insane. Like, I think there's a quote from like Albert Einstein or something about doing the same thing over and over and expecting the same result. That's insanity, and it's insanity because it's the same result every time. We're 1-0 up, or we're confident in the game, and we sort of take our foot off the pedal, and we bring on the substitutions that happen every week. And at this point, it's boring as well. And it's just not great to see. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of quality on the bench, and it's annoying to see the same players come on week in, week out, and put in the same performance to do week in, week out, and again, not really doing much. And it makes you think how bad Andy Cole actually is if he's not getting a sniff, and the likes of Wallace and Dobbin are being thrown on ahead of him as a striker. I mean, as a player who scored 18 league goals last season, can't be terrible. You know what I mean, it can't be a terrible choice to throw on. But I mean, Carlos must see something in Wallace and Dobbin that we don't. So, it's one of those.
Ben, Carlos has got a little bit of stick this weekend for making those decisions. I mean, not to the point where anyone's asking him to examine his own head, but we can't have it again, can we? This substitution type and regularity has to stop, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the substitutions either. The formation stays the same. I think if you want to look away from home, there's nothing wrong with throwing on another centre-back. We've got Mason Holgate and Paddy McNair on the bench, who are more than capable of slotting into a back three and, tying up a little bit rather than just bringing on like-for-like players that aren't really helping us see games out.
We'll come back to the negatives in a minute, but Dean, Karlon Grant redemption arc continues. How impressed were you with him?
Played very well. Good goal. Yeah, he's the least of our worries at the moment, I think.
Yes, Karlon Grant was brilliant yesterday and deserves to have been on the winning side, says Stephen. Hope he continues his form and grabs some goals to go with his excellent work. All the ability is with him, and he's proving it. And Andy says, excellent performance from Grant yesterday. I'd have moved him into the middle when Madja was subbed. Would you have done, Aaron?
No, honestly, I mean, he's a good player, don't be wrong, granted, but he's not a striker. He's not a central number 9. He's an out-and-out winger. More of an inside forward, I should say, sorry, but, he's definitely a wide player, not a central striker.
Okay. Yes. Back to the negatives, Ben. Then, so Richard says, same old excuses from our manager, same subs, same results, what we were saying before. Not rocket science, despite happy clappers believing it is. Simple game made complex by managers who utilise players who offer nothing. Is that too harsh?
I think bringing Wallace on as the centre forward, doesn't help. I think Madja does offer us that hold-up play, which Wallace doesn't. Wallace comes on, runs around for a bit, and isn't really offering much. In terms of, I don't mind John Swift personally. I think he's a tidy little player, beyond the striker. But again, he's not the sort of player you bring on when you're trying to grind out a 1-0 win away from home. He's the ideal player to bring on when you're 2 or 3-0 up at home to show his flicks and tricks. But he's not quite the player to see out a 1-0 win away from home. So yeah, I mean, I'd go with that. Yeah.
Okay. Raman says, Dean, what looked like great signings at the start of the season are now looking like average signings at best. It's a long season with more ups and downs to come, and I predict we'll end up with the same outcome as last season. Is he right?
Well, I don't know. Hegam's done very well. I think he was excellent again on Saturday. Be nice to see him playing centre of defence, his proper position sometime. So I think he'll be a good signing, has been already. Rakic, I don't know. The jury's still out on him. I mean, he played him again. He seems to like him, Corbrand does, probably justifying the signing. He looks like he should be better than he is, if that makes sense. He looks like a big, mean, as though he's going to dominate midfield, but he doesn't. And I'm not sure he's got the pace either. So I don't know. I felt a bit sorry for Malumbi. I don't know what he'd done wrong at all to be dropped. He was working perfectly early on in the season with him and remind me. Mine's gone blank. Mowat in midfield, yeah. Malumbi and Mowat in midfield early on in the season. So I don't understand changing that, to be honest, just to bring a new signing in. As regards the others, we don't know. We haven't seen them yet, really.
No. Still on the bench, 11 weeks in. All right. All right. Well, we'll leave the Oxford game alone there then for a second. Let's look ahead to what's coming up this week. Busy week for Albion, as it is for all the clubs. Blackburn first and then Cardiff. Aaron, how do you see these two going? Blackburn are not in the best of forms. They are quite handy at home. Do you see being the first team going there and putting that right?
I don't really know at the moment. I mean, Blackburn have had a decent start to the season. I think they were up to 5th at one point. I'm not too sure where they are now, but like you said, haven't been in the best of form. So maybe it is a good time to play them. But then again, they could probably say the same thing about us because we haven't won a game in 4 games now, is it? So they're probably thinking the same thing. We can rock up away from home, and if we put in a performance like we did last season away at Blackburn, then I can see another loss coming. But on the other hand, Cardiff, I mean they won 5-0 at the weekend, so they're obviously in good spirits. But I do think they are a very beatable side, and I think they are down where they are for a reason. So, I mean, no disrespect to them. I think they have a good crop of players. Callum Robinson, Chris Willett, to name a few. I think Ruben Colwood as well. I think is a really good player, but they are not the greatest side in the league. So I think if we can't beat them, especially at home, I'd be very worried.
Okay, how many points do you want, Ben, out of these two, or how much points do you expect?
Well, I think, as we just said, Blackburn's home form is very good. I think you definitely take a point there on Wednesday, and we've got to be looking at beating Cardiff at home. I know we said that a few weeks ago when we had Middlesbrough and Millwall back-to-back at home. We ended up with 1 point from there. And to be honest, I can see a similar sort of pattern. What Cardiff are going to do? They're going to come and put all the men behind the ball. It's going to be another frustrating afternoon. It's just a case of hoping we can nick a goal and really sort of get the season back on track, really, because that's what we need to do. Because we've got some tough games coming up after Cardiff, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm. All right, cheers for that. I want to ask you about fixtures, if that's okay. This is a question to all of you, because after the Cardiff game, you don't actually play at home on a Saturday until the end of November, with a Friday night trip to Luton, a Thursday night game for some reason against Burnley, a Sunday game against Hull. All of these to be televised. Quite simply, are Sky ruining football?
For the fans, yeah, 100%. I mean, they aren't taking the fans' perspectives into consideration whatsoever. I mean, can you expect someone, especially from a Burnley fan perspective, can you expect someone from Burnley to do a 9 to 5 or finish at 6 o'clock and then travel all the way to Smethwick to watch them play West Brom? I don't think you can. I mean, granted it's on telly, but you want to be there to watch a team play. And I mean, us going to Luton on a Friday night, especially the same again. You do a 9 to 5 or whatever it be, and then go all the way down to Luton. I mean, that's a long way to go. And then
we've sold out as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, it shows that you're good support. I mean, I'll say they're proving my point wrong, but I mean, it's just not great from Sky to see. You want the epitome of football is the Saturday 3 o'clock kickoff, in my opinion.
I think sorry. I think even home games as well. You know, I mean, you kick off at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night at home. You know, the game finishes at 10. By the time you've got out the ground, you're looking at sort of 11, half 11. By the time you're home, and like I said, if you're up for work in the morning, it's another sort of effort, isn't it?
Do you see it, Dean? I don't know if you agree with this. So Sheffield Wednesday are at Portsmouth this Friday night, and they were saying to us that Sky need investigating here because they're hand selecting the fixtures, which they know have got big away supports on a Friday night to grounds far away, so that the travelling fans, the team that's travelling, their fans will have to buy into Sky to obviously kind of watch the game. So similar to Luton, you know, who would want to travel from, you know, the Midlands to Luton on a Friday night? Do you? Yeah. Apart from you, my good sir. When you're retired, you can do what you want. But yeah, do you get their point that there is some horrible manipulation of fans going on here? That, you know, the big teams like West Brom and Sheffield Wednesday are going to get shafted.
Definitely, yeah, it's obvious what they're doing. So I don't agree with it at all. It doesn't bother me as such because, as I say, every day is a blooming weekend for me. I can go whenever I want. But yeah, you can see exactly what they're doing, and it's wrong.
Okay. Other news then to run through with you this week then. So we had a new contract signed for Furlong, a 2-year deal extension. Happy with that, Ben?
Yeah, absolutely. I think over the last 18 months, he's been one of our most consistent performers, defensively and going forward. I think out of all the players that are out of contract in the summer, he's the first one I would have looked at to tie him down again. So I think it's good news, definitely.
Yeah. And of course, we had the sad death of Liam Payne from One Direction over the 2-week break as well. Who was a Baggies fan, which I didn't realise. Aaron, were you aware of that?
Yeah, I think it's been reported before. And funnily enough, he's sat in the stand I sit in now, which is it's a bit dystopian, or a bit of a weird thing to think about, considering how famous and loved he was.
Yeah. Yeah, another young life taken too soon. All right, thank you for that. If you haven't yet subscribed, do drop us a like and do a subscribe. It's Halloween though, so we are asking, of course, this week, the predictable: who is the nastiest player to ever put on the famous navy and white stripes? Dean, I'll let you think this one over while we get to the young ones first. Who's that player you've sat in the stands thinking, "I'm so glad you play for us," and not the opposition? Ben, let's start with you.
First one that came to mind was Claudio Jakob, centre midfielder, South American, very tenacious, so we say, weren't afraid to put a tackle in and leave a few tackles on as well. Really popular player though, and didn't mind getting stuck in and doing the dirty work, should we say?
Brilliant, Aaron.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Ben. I love Jakob. I had a foot and out away shirt, I think, from 2014-15 season with Jakob on the back. So, he's a player I've resonated with for a long time. But the first player that came to mind for me, more recent times than Jakob, was Jake Livermore. I think he's a very robust player, but he's one of the players who's going to put his foot, or sorry, I should say both his feet through your legs. So, you'd rather him playing for you than anyone else that you're playing against.
Okay, all right, Dean, school these young ones.
I see where they're coming from. Not so much with Livermore, I don't think, compared to some of the pieces of work I've seen over the years. Recent years, I would say, when I saw the question, Jonas Olsen, he certainly took no prisoners. Before that, we had a good guy named Gonzalo Jara from Chile. He was a bit of a maniac. You could see him running towards a player and you knew he was going to get sent off before he even got there. And then going back a bit further, we had Johnny Giles from Leeds, and he still had a couple of seasons in him as player manager. And he was sly. He knew how to dish it out, although he did get sent off once, but without making it too obvious. But I would say, out of everybody, I'm going back even further to the late 60s, early 70s, and I would go for John Kay. we had a back line then of Dougie Fraser, John Kay, John Talbot, and Graham Williams. And there was a few broken legs dished out by those, that's for sure.
Back when the pitches were quagmires and yeah, the
Jumpers
rubber sponge came on to sort out all medical issues. Yeah, so
right.
wet sponge. Right. Okay. Can you? Oh, gosh, I'm gonna say, could you beat that? But I'd be very surprised if any of you can beat Dean's vast.
James McLean as well. I had.
Oh, that's a good show.
Yeah,
Just,
that's a good show.
One of them. But
yeah, he's horrible. Yeah. All right. Don't forget to follow Dean, Ben, and Aaron on Twitter. They're all the handles on the screen there for some more entertaining West Brom chat. We'll see you guys next week when we're asking you for your October player of the month. Yeah, it's into November. Can you believe it? And nearly a quarter of the season will have expired by that point as well. See you next week on the other side of Blackburn, and of course the game as well, which I completely forgot. But yeah, see you after the 2 games.